Ladies and gentlemen, dear experts, welcome to this ColACP Training of Trainers course. This sequence is on interactive training techniques. In this sequence, we're going to cover 8 points. 1. Usefulness of interactive techniques in adult learning. 2. The importance of instructions. 3. Using a flip chart. 4. Using printed flip charts. 5. Question and answer, such as meta plan, brainstorming. 6. Setting the scene, role-playing. 7. Case studies. And 8. Practical exercises. Usefulness of interactive techniques in adult learning. 3 main principles motivate the use of these interactive techniques. Adults receiving training understand and retain better when they have had the opportunity to experience or use something. Participants learn by doing when they come into contact with the object of knowledge. Participants learn by sharing their knowledge and experience with each other and with the trainer. Trainers should allow participants to apply the knowledge presented to them, experiment with mastering knowledge before using it in their real work situation. Interactive techniques facilitate learning, focusing on the experience and motivation of the participants. 3 criteria for determining when to choose an interactive training. 1. Relevance. In order to choose the right technique, the learning objectives must be clearly defined. 2. Activity. The technique must allow for the involvement of all participants. The proposed activity must allow them to act, observe, reflect, research, experiment, speak. 3. Motivation. The technique must motivate the participants. Trainers choose these techniques when they want to allow experimentation in situations close to the reality experienced by the participants in the field. Make abstract concepts concrete. Encourage cooperation between participants. Solicit problem-solving skills as a group. Tips and tricks. Whatever participatory technique you use, there are a number of good practices that should be followed. Make sure you know exactly what the exercise involves. Do it yourself before giving it to the group. Make sure that all the materials are available to all participants. Divide participants into groups before introducing an exercise. Introduce an exercise as clearly as possible and allow time for participants to clarify any issues. Be clear on the time allocated to the exercise. Make sure that there is a time manager in each group and 1 or more people to report back to the whole group what was said in the small group if necessary. Explain that the groups can use any language they wish in their discussions, as long as all the group members agree. All reports or presentations to the whole group should be in the language common to all members in the group. Go around the groups after 5 minutes to make sure that everyone has understood what needs to be done. Be prepared to respond to a group that has a question. Help a group that seems to find the exercise difficult or unclear. Clarify things but don't take control over their group. Set aside regular times during the exercise to check that everything is going well. If a group finishes before time runs out, give them ideas on how they can use the remaining time. The importance of instructions in interactive techniques. What is an instruction? Using interactive techniques in training involves the participation of the group learners. Trainers must prepare instructions to get the participants to carry out a specific task, regardless of the interactive technique used. When preparing or presenting an exercise, we often have clear ideas. But when explaining the task at hand, we sometimes become confused about the procedure participants will have to follow. The work involved in preparing and presenting instructions is far from straightforward. An instruction must be clear, unambiguous, and clearly indicate the expected result. To give clear instructions, trainers need to adopt the participant's point of view, not only in terms of learning, but also in terms of communication. How can I clearly state what I want the learners to achieve? Formal instructions are given to someone who is responsible for carrying out the instructions. An instruction is a statement that indicates the task to be accomplished or the object to be achieved. Formulating instructions. Instructions can take 4 forms: oral, written, gesture, such as showing how to use a sprayer, pictorial, such as based on a plan, diagram, or table. To prepare instructions, we must ask ourselves various questions. Who will be the actors of the task? Will the activity be collective, individual, or in subgroups? What? The instructions must be formulated in terms of the activity to be carried out. The activity and/or its results must be observable by the trainer. Read, calculate, classify, construct, write, measure, prepare, underline, draw, sort, etc. When? This is a matter of specifying the duration. Where? This is about the location, in a room, in a field, outside, also one-to-one or in subgroups. When for? When does the task need to be completed? In 30 minutes, in 90 minutes, by 2 p.m., first thing in the morning, etc. How? What means are made available, e.g. documents, teaching materials, personal notes? What is the role of the trainer during the task? Resource, person, referee in case of difficulty when in a group. Why? What is the meaning of the requested task? What are the objectives of the exercise? The aim is to take up the elements of the seal. There is no need to memorize a prepared text. We can read, thus avoiding omissions and paraphrases that reduce the quality of our preparation. But reading out the instructions is not enough. For everything to go well, the participants have to make them their own. They must understand the instructions. A few words of advice. Give one instruction at a time. Use known and concrete vocabulary. Emphasize important words. Accompany with gestures and images. Use tools, pictures, tables, and diagrams. If necessary, conduct a demonstration if the task is complex and new. Check if participants have understood and answer any questions. Write down the important points on a flip chart, such as keywords. Assessing the quality of instructions. At the end of the exercise, we need to consider any errors and difficulties that the participants have encountered in order to adjust and adapt our way of formulating and presenting the instructions. If participants did not understand our vocabulary, we need to review how we formulated the instructions. If they have had difficulties in carrying out the exercise, or if they have not grasped the meaning of the exercise, we should highlight the link between the exercise and the theoretical content when presenting the instructions. If participants didn't manage the time to complete the exercise well, such as they ran out of time, we need to draw their attention to the timing of the task, or even re-evaluate the time allocated to complete the task. In conclusion, formulating instructions is demanding. It requires anticipating the behavior of the participants, being able to put yourself in the place of the participants receiving the instructions, and being careful not to generate ambiguities using a flip chart. Why use this tool? Draw up a plan and leave a legible trace of it throughout the session. Record the information collected. Write down the questions asked and answer them later. Go back and review what was said. Make a summary, a balance sheet. Illustrate the speech with a diagram or drawing. How to use this tool? Write visibly and boldly. Make sure the characters are legible. Stand and write next to the board, not in front of it. Comment on what you write by talking to the participants. Focus on the group, not on the board. Change colors to emphasize and highlight. Use a squared paper if you plan to use diagrams. Favor live writing. Fill it in as you go along. Using printed flip charts. A printed flip chart is a set of bound pages with the content prepared in advance. A variant of it is a puzzle. The aim is to present a succession of images, posters, and panels. Why use this tool? It has the advantage of being reusable and easily transportable. It makes it possible to illustrate a presentation or content, go back over what has been said, present diagrams or plans, support a demonstration, adapt to specific logistical conditions of the presentation, such as no electricity, outdoor presentation. ColleCP has many printed flip charts for training. How to use this tool? Write down the main ideas of the presentation, such as keywords, acronyms, symbols, before the presentation. Avoid overloading the instruction sheets. Write legibly and large enough for the entire group to see the content. Use different colors to separate information and emphasize certain elements. Question and answer. Why? A question and answer. A question and answer sequence is used by trainers to collect information from participants or to check their understanding of the content. This technique makes it possible to bring out the participants' knowledge of the content, build knowledge with the participants, making them actors in their learning. A QA sequence can take several forms. We will look at two of them, metaplan and brainstorming. Metaplan. A metaplan is a display board used as an idea organizer. Metaplan is a technique that uses cards or post-it notes of different shapes and colors on which the trainer writes the ideas and information emerging from the participants. These cards are placed on boards or on sheets of paper that are visible during the training session. It allows the entire group to see the collected work. Why use a metaplan? The main functions of a metaplan are to collect data. Everyone's ideas are displayed on the board. To transform data. By moving the cards or post-its, data can be deleted, reformulated, completed, or merged without having to rewrite the whole board. Aggregate or group data by color code, shape, size, or other categories. We can make and test different groupings. Model data. Simple models can be built by adding links, graphics, and symbols on the board. How to use a metaplan. This technique involves 3 phases. 1. The trainer asks an open-ended question. 2. The participants, individually or in subgroups, write down their ideas on charts and arrange them on the board as they go along. The trainer already starts to structure the charts. 3. The trainer leads a debriefing. The ideas are structured with the participants. Brainstorming. Why use it? Brainstorming is a group meeting to collect ideas. It helps to resolve a problem, identify a point, create a concept. In this exercise, everyone can make any kind of proposal or idea about the defined theme without being judged, following an open-ended question from the trainer. Brainstorming promotes the involvement of everyone in answering the question, pushes participants to give their best to succeed positively, facilitates involvement. The less experienced and newcomers also have a say, allows the contributions of every individual to be taken into account. Brainstorming. How to use it. The principle is relatively simple. 1. The trainer proposes a question to the participants. In your opinion, what are the advantages of using this or that technique? 2. They provide ideas on the proposed question, and the trainer notes these ideas on a medium, such as a flip chart. And 3. A summary overview is then made. Some keys to success. Before starting, write down the question on the tool you are using, such as a flip chart. It should be written in large print so that each participant can clearly see the question. When gathering ideas, take care to ensure that as many participants as possible express themselves. It's about focusing on quantity, not quality. Ideas are freely expressed by the participants without being judged or discussed. All the ideas put forward are retained, noted, and displayed for collective visibility. They will only be evaluated and sorted in a later phase of work. During preparation, it is useful to include additional or follow-up questions that will enrich the collection of information. Setting the scene, role-playing. Why use role-playing? A role-play is a concrete reconstruction reproducing the essential characteristics of a real case for situations unknown or little known to the participants. This technique focuses on problems and allows a good link between training and professional life. In general, participants play a role very close to the one they may be expected to play in reality, as a meeting facilitator, for example. A situation scenario, such as conducting a meeting, involves practicing the use of words, how to formulate the SIOM, for example, behaviors, managing relations in a meeting, and know-how, use media to collect information that will have to be mastered in future work situations. The advantage is to be able to train without risking the consequences that a mistake could have in professional life. This technique allows participants to elicit reactions to a concrete situation, analyze their reactions and find better answers, adjust their reactions to situations, get to know each other better, dare to act more easily in reality. How to use scenarios. The scenario is carried out with real equipment or with simplified equipment specially designed for the scenarios. On the basis of a scenario prepared by the trainer, the participants carry out the exercise according to the instructions given to them. In general, the trainer does not intervene during the exercise, but observes how the exercise is carried out. At the end of the scenario, the trainer leads an evaluation, often in form of a debriefing. The trainer discusses with the participants the performance obtained against predetermined evaluation criteria. The floor is first given to the participant who carried out the scenario so that they can talk about their performance and how they experienced the scenario. Next, the floor is given to the observers, who offer arguments about the positive aspects of performance and areas of improvement. The trainer structures the debriefings and goes back over the important aspects to be implemented in order to correctly use the new knowledge in the real work situation. Role-playing in the field can be considered a demonstration technique. Participants apply in a real situation the responses that the trainer showed them earlier. This can be used for technical processes, maintenance, chlorination, cleaning. The debriefing can be done live on location and takes the same form as that used in a room. Discussion of the participants' performance against the pre-selected evaluation criteria. Case studies. Why use case studies? A case study allows you to apply your knowledge to analyze a specific situation, resolve a specific problem. A case study can be presented in the form of a text or a film, or a combination of both. It may be accompanied by annexes, such as figures, tables, interviews. The information made available must present the situation to be studied, the problem to be solved, the actors in the situation, and if necessary, the event that caused the problem. A case study involves exploring and analyzing the different sides of a problem. How to build a case study? Once the learning objectives are known, it is necessary to choose a typical situation. Give details. Include names, places. Describe actors and circumstances, environment, facts, and various interactions. Make sure that the instructions are written clearly and coherently, paying attention to the correct sequence of information. Finally, the case should end with a written reminder of what is expected from the participants, instructions, what you expect to do, or questions to be answered. What are the gaps or mistakes you can identify? When preparing a case study, it is important to identify the content elements that will be useful in the debriefing to shed light on the case and the options chosen by the participants. Practical exercises. Why use practical exercises? The main purpose of practical exercises is to enable participants to apply new elements to a concrete situation. These exercises generally follow a presentation by the trainer, who may explain how to implement a new work technique, a new procedure, a new way of drafting certain documents, for example. The practical exercises may involve handling an object. Participants develop a manual or a perceptual skill by manipulating elements, sprayer, computer software, agricultural machinery. Working things out. Participants practice a learning activity in order to develop or to fix a skill, calculating a dose of spray liquid per hectare, setting up a barcode system. Rehearsing is a very useful way of fixing what has been learned. Building work tools. Participants develop tools and processes that they will use in their work. HACCP, traceability tools, etc. How to use a practical exercise. Following the presentation, the trainer asks participants to apply this new knowledge to a concrete situation in a particular context, which could be in the company from which the participants work. When preparing a practical exercise, trainers should pay particular attention to formulating instructions. These must be clear to enable participants to carry out the exercise effectively and in accordance with the trainer's expectations. Trainers must also draft all the documents needed to conduct the exercise. During the exercise, the trainer should remain available to answer any questions, respond to problems, and to check that the work is progressing.